thank you for watching this video. I appreciate that. I appreciate if you pass it around, tell others. I'd also really appreciate that you took the time. It means a lot to the school and the information that we're presenting here and sharing. And we're just trying to do our part, whatever it is that we're trying to do. And as we go along these lines, as we go down this path, disseminating or producing the Father's material in our own specific way, the material that we've put together, researched, I appreciate it. I appreciate it much, greatly, that somebody would take the time out of their life to listen. So, with that being said, I'm going to go over here and jump to the school real quick here. Let's see which one we got here. I'm on the school site here, Craig Kirk School of Law. That's not what I'm really here to do. Basically, this picture of the Messiah is to illustrate to the rest. And notice he's out in the mountains. He's not in the cities. He got a rest. And Joshua 10:2. This is a question that's asked and answered, must be addressed squarely. So keep that in mind. How does Joshua 10:2 affect the Sabbath? Because remember, every word that proceeds out the mouth of the Father shall never return, and is the whole system of law governs what he said, what he done. All 66 books, all the words, right? Well, we depart and go to the Roman wall and Roman wailing wall. We depart and we go there and we say, see, this is Sabbath. From my research, and I could be wrong. You always stand for reproof and correction. But from my research, I have not seen any evidence anywhere that the Hebrews, the Sadducees, the Pharisees did a Friday to Saturday Sabbath. I have not seen that. But I've seen your Sabbaths and your feast days and your holy days that I dislike. I've seen the Father say that. I don't have the direct quote. So it could be a separation. You could have the correct Sabbath, or the Sabbath that was ordained by the Father, and then they departed under the contract because they were slaughtered at Jerusalem by Rome. The weeping, wailing wall, they were slaughtered there. It was, put the little paper in the wall. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not against Jews for doing that. It's just, we should be down in the old city, King David's city, not there. Jerusalem is not the capital, it's King David. But we didn't set our infrastructure up there. We should be there, not here. That's where the temple is. It should be. Alright. We're over here at the wall, weeping, wailing wall, and doing weeping, wailing wall things that are in contracted submission and destruction. So take a look at these little statutes here, these not necessarily statutes, but this account that happened here. I'm still reproofing this. And take a look at what's being said here, and think about the effects of clear back to Genesis all the way through Exodus. We talked about Exodus in other materials, in other classes. They talk about Exodus. And then we talk about the Sabbath, and then we take Exodus and we depart and go to a Sabbath that's not in Exodus. And that's double-minded. And for me, I never understood. I mean, it was something missing. Is there something wrong being on the Gregorian Sabbath? I mean, does it feel unnatural? Does it feel righteous to you? I mean, being on the Jesuit Vatican calendar, there's something wrong with that. You tell me. email me. commonlawradio@inbox.com. commonlawradio@inbox.com. Is there something wrong with that picture? Does the Father in heaven need the papal Gregorian, Julian, Gregorian, solar-only calendar? Why only solar only? Why? Why does he need that? And can we find that as a rule, a regulatory guiding principle or a policy that the Father himself put down? Can we find that? I don't care what the rabbis say. They haven't answered the question. I've already asked. I've already been down that road many times. It's like a brick wall. Well, it's our Sabbath. I said, I'm not opposed to that. That's not my question. My question is, why aren't we doing it according to El Shaddai in Genesis? Instead of papal Jesuit power and Revelations, or at the Wheeling Wall. Why? Why aren't you guys going back to the original calendar the Father himself made specifically? Maybe it's not meant for us to do that. It's like making holy oil. Only the priests and Levites can do it, right? I guess. But we make holy oil all over the place. There's anointing oils. So these are the questions, and it just doesn't make sense. And a lot of things I was taught is great topical, but some of it's in gross error, and I never understood it. And now I'm starting to see the differentiation between the two systems and all the systems and all the 8-day. They had a 10-day work cycle, and they had an 8-day cycle. They had an 8-day calendar, 8-week calendar or whatever. They had a 10-day. And that worked 24/7, 365. You know what happens when you do that. So I ask these questions for you to consider. It's important to ask and answer these questions, because people, when you ask and answer the question, people just give you the middle finger. They object to it. They get all violent and snarly, and they lose the question and the research and the intelligence behind it. I mean, I didn't think of the question. I was given. Troy Miller here gave me 5 discs, and he put his case on 5 discs, and they're actual videos. And I got those videos, and I'll go back here, and you can actually kind of see some of those videos. And whether he's right or wrong, I'll leave that up to you. That's not my decision. I'm not telling you that he's right or wrong. Okay? Whether he's right or wrong, he makes a case that Friday to Saturday can't overcome. He makes a case. He makes a really good case. He makes a very good case, and it makes you question any real strong, hardcore biblical scholarly researcher, Christians, Jews, Hebrews, Muslims, anybody that is that has built reproof and correction, either hostile or caretaking correction into their mind, heart, mind, and soul research. Those people that can do that, those people will get the question, go search and run that out. That's what I'm doing. We're going to be talking about that here a little bit too. We're going to be running that out. I am not opposed to Friday to Saturday Sabbath. I'm not. That don't matter to me. You can do whatever day you want. I don't care. But this whole Sabbath thing is this right or wrong? I mean, what is the real factual evidence behind it? So I want to talk about this for a minute. Now, I have the videos, and I'm going to upload those to the videos because they're good research videos. They're really great to start with. Really great to start with. Troy's a heck of a guy. Go get his email and take a look at what he says. Take a look at his website. Now, some people. Now, I want to describe some people, and I want to do this because It's a stumbling block to them. It's a stumbling block. Some people are so heavily invested. Some people are so heavily invested. Oh, by the way, here, hold this for a minute. You're going to blow our little shofar for us. Come here. Let me get my statement. I'll just sit there. Sit down for a minute. Okay. Some people are so heavily invested in what they've been taught that they bet their entire life and soul on it. And the Father said, don't do that. That's a curse. It's a blessing to get the material. You got the material, you know it, you can understand it, you can say what the other person said. But the curse side of it is that you're so heavily invested, you cannot do your own research, and you cannot stand, challenge, or correction, or reproof. And that's a trap. That's a trap, and it has to go to narcissism and other problems we have. And I'm not badgering those people. It's a serious business because they have to deal with that. And I was like that too. I was a devout follower until I hit a brick wall in my research, and Troy helped me hit the brick wall, and my other research and other things too. And then what I seemed to didn't make sense. I'm always out, being a mechanic, auto mechanic. Please don't do that. Let me finish my thing. Okay. Being an auto mechanic or an auto technician, I'm always looking for the facts, the underlying root cause of why this automobile is malfunctioning, not running right. I have an advantage that way. I mean, I look at cars in ways people don't. The average person will never look at an automobile. I can tell you without even putting a car on a frame rack that's got a bent frame. I can tell you that. I can follow a car and tell you and watch the car do certain things and tell you without ever knowing it, the car's bent. The frame's bent. It needs to go in a frame rack or needs to be totaled out. I can tell you that. I take that same mindset and I apply it to the Scriptures. Because when you actually take the elements to Sabbath and you run them out, yeah, shut the door for a minute. Sit here and shut the door. When you take the elements of a Friday to Saturday Sabbath and run them out, you ultimately end up in the same problem I got. Same problem I got is you got a solar moon element. You got a solar element that's there. And the sun and the moon are in pair working together. It's like the two great prophets, Gabriel and Michael. All right, with that, we're going to have to take a little break. Come over here, boy. That's all right. Come over here. I want you to go ahead and he's going to blow the shofar. See if you can hear this. Come over here, right here. Blow it that way. One more time. He's good. I can't blow it either. He can. He's good. Got to get a real shofar. This is a tiny horn. I like to do that. Put that in there. So, in looking at the elements, I teach that in my class. I'm not here to talk about my class, but I teach that in the class to really look at it. Obviously, the sun and moon do something with light and time for us. Obviously, it does something with the world, animals, gravity, harvest, and all these things. I mean, it goes clear back, and there's a in and out of paganism, not in paganism, in and out, up and down. It's like a dolphin into the water, out of the water, in the water, out of the water. Creation counter. So he's got an email in here. Take a look at it. Get it. Decide for yourself. Don't change what you're doing. I mean, if you're not ready, or if you don't want to change, I'm not telling you to change or nothing. Don't change. I'm not interested in you changing because I said so. I want you to do the work, put the time in, and as time goes, we're going to put the information out so you can speed up the time. That's what we're doing. With feast days, right here's a good example. Feast days. Blow this up a little bit here. feast days are predicated on the moon and sun, but then the Sabbath vacates that time system and goes over here to papal Vatican time system. I'm not opposed to it, like I said. I don't care. You do what you got to do. You may not be able to. You may not be able to. You may have a job or something that interferes with this program. That's going to interfere with. It's going to be devastating your finances. For me, I said to hell with it. I gave the world the middle finger and said I'm doing it. And another thing is, it's pretty amazing to do it, because when you do it, you completely throw off the entire world yoke. It's like a house that nobody lives in. You go in this house, nobody's living in this house. You go over here and everybody's in this house. Over here, nobody's in here. You're out here all by yourself. It's strange. I'm going to tell you, there's a spiritual effects to it that's way beyond Friday to Saturday could ever think of. So you got all the lambs over here lambing up into the slaughter. They're going through the gate, through the auction. And I'm over here saying, no, I'm going to sit up here. I'm a mountain ram. I'm going to sit up here and I'll watch you go down here and get slaughtered. So that's kind of harsh. That's not necessarily fair. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just telling you that there's some things going on. With that, we have two cycles or two systems of time. We have the moon and sun for Passover and Feast of Tabernacles and other Pentecost in those days. Then we depart and go to the Gregorian calendar. Does that make sense? I don't think that makes sense to me. I'm not doing it. I used to do it. And sometimes I miss it because it was a unity. It was a time sequence. Everybody, all of my other Sabbath brothers and sisters were on. I'm out here all by myself now. It's very sad sometimes. It's weird. It's weird it's weird how the Vatican wanted to create a new system in time and force the Jews on the Friday to Saturday, the Gregorian calendar. It's strange. When you really go back and look at the substance, it's just strange. All right, so there's Troy Miller's site. You can take a look at it. Sign up for his email. Get his email. He's got a lot of neat stuff on there. I'm going to exile there. Here's the video. You can watch it. Go to the 4th Annual International Temple Mount Awareness Day. Dr. Roy Hoffman, Israel New Moon Society. Take a look at it. This is what's happening. I knew this was going to happen. I just didn't know when. I said this is going to have to happen. Israel's going to have to do this, and they're doing it. And they're doing it. There's a disdain for the individual driving around a sheriff's car. Not really. Just whatever. And they're doing it. And so now we got to ask the question, wow, they're doing this. The Temple Institute. You may or may not be for the temple. Maybe you say it's Zionism or all those things. That's fine. I mean, I don't care. It don't matter to me. You can say whatever you want, but nevertheless, the temple is going to be built, and it's probably going to be built in King David's city. If they build it in the New Jerusalem, man, that's not going to work. That's going to be god-awful miserable. That's going to be destruction, destroyed. Alright, so I'm going to exile that. You can take a look at that. Like I said, he's got some videos on here. Sundown to Sundown, Part 1. Sundown to Sundown, Part 2. Constructive criticism is an absolute must. You got to have thick skin to do this. If you can't take constructive criticism or challenge to the doctrines to see and lift up the skirt, as Troy would say, lift up the skirt of your doctrines and see what they are. If you can't do that, you're in a very bad position. Very bad position. Take a look at those videos. The guy makes some really interesting points. I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I'm just saying the research, good researcher. So I was taught, you're a code pleader. You're this code pleader. Well, I said, well, what is a code pleader? I was taught this thing about what some people would call code pleading. And then I would go back and really look at what the dynamics of code pleading are. And that's pretty vast. But it's not impossible. It's not fast. It's slow. It takes a long time. But any good researcher, legal researcher, scriptural researcher is going to take in all the information he can get and sort it out, regardless. You're not here to point fingers, and I'm not here to teach or say to point fingers, say you're a dummy, you're a fool, a nitwit, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm not here to slaughter the Sabbath keepers. I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to butcher faith-believing Sabbath keepers or Passover. I'm not here to do that. But I am here to slaughter the concept of attacking someone for expanding the realm of possibilities on this research and opening their mind to the idea that there's some other systems, there's some things that are wrong. I'm definitely after that. I'm going to come after that real hard. That's my pet peeve. I do that with the state, the county, the city. I do that with material I learn. I do that with everything. Even myself, I do that with myself. If I'm in error, I slaughter my own error. And I point out, well, I learned that error from this guy over here, and I wonder why he didn't figure it out. Well, it came to us, we figured it out, so we're slaughtering the error. I have great disdain. I loathe the errors. I hate them. But the errors are a necessity. Error is an absolute critical necessity in the Mac Tools toolbox to wrench and fix this problem. Put the new head on so the motor runs right. You got half the block and no exhaust manifold, and it's bolted up to the transmission. That's the solar element of the Sabbath time. And the other half of the block is the moon and the manifold, and the injectors, and all the things that go on. So we want to put it all together. That's what I'm offering here. That's what I'm trying to get at. That's why my classes are predicated on it. So I was thinking about this last night and this morning, and it was dawning on me, if you will, dawning. It was dawning on me. I need to put my own class material together. That's what I'm doing, slowly but surely. I'm moving away from what I haven't been taught, a lot of it, and then I'm not losing the material, but I'm moving away and expanding, I guess, and creating something else. I came up with the concept last night about 3 or 4 o'clock this morning. Max out that. That's not important. I'll max out that. So I came up with an idea this morning. I got to write a scriptural law book. Okay, I got to sit down and do this. I got two main tasks. Really, I got a lot more tasks now, but I got some really serious projects I got to do. And for a long time, I've been thinking about this, and it's been weighing on me. And I've been ignoring it. I don't want to do it. I'm lazy this way sometimes. I don't want to do it. It's a lot of work, and I'm not going to get any help, obviously. Well, kind of. I'm not going to get any direct help here where I'm at locally. So I'm going to have to primarily do this myself. And I do have some people in the background that may pitch in help, and they probably will. They got a lot of information they're researching to show and say too. So, so I took a class called the Mosaic Law class. Mosaic Law. Think about the Mosaic Law. It only goes to the Mosaic Law, and it stops. Well, something has been setting on me for a long time. So in the Mosaic Law class, I never seen the other things of law in there that I found just looking at Genesis. I found the scriptures and stuff in there. So last night, about 4 o'clock this morning, it was a inspirational thing. I don't know, it woke me up. It's not something I thought about. Oh, I'm going to do this because I have this thing to prove. It's not about proving anything. I don't have anything to prove. I don't really care. It's just I came up with, or the idea was lent to me as a law class, and then I got to pray on this too because I don't know how to distribute this class. I'm very nervous about distributing this class in the wrong way, and I'm very nervous about distributing this class in the wrong way where there's a cost attached to it. I'm very nervous about that. I'm researching that. I know a workman's worthy to be hired. I know other people paid for whatever they paid for it. And I understand that. But me, myself, that's a question I have about that. So I'm going to go look at what the Messiah did and emulate him specifically what he did, and look at what he did and what he had to say about that. Especially when it comes to scriptures, I'm going to look at that. I'm very sensitive to that. I'm very cautious about that. But the class, I'm going to announce it right now. The class is called the Holy Scriptures Law Class, and it deals with the entire Scripture. It deals with the entire Scripture. It's going to be video, and there's going to be MP3 attached to it, just like I do this other stuff, and these other classes. And I'm going to start and make the class and put the information in the right categories. And I'm going to do the best I can, because it's one book, and I'm telling you, I just keep coming up with these tasks that are just depressingly overwhelming. Depressing. And I want to get it out as fast as possible. So we heard of the Mosaic Law class, and that's central. That's very narrow. Mosaic Law is very narrow. Yes, it's good. It's in there. But the Scriptures goes from all 66 books, and there's rule, regulation, law, and policy in all 66 books. And the Holy Scriptures Law class deals with prophecy too. Deals with doctrines of the Messiah. There's a lot that we never got, and that's my goal. That's where I'm coming in. That's what I'm going to be working on, and I'm hoping to have this completed. I don't have a time frame. It just came to me last night. I have a lot of material already done. I'll kind of show you that real quick here. I'm going to go to the Sabbath. That's spelled wrong. So I have a lot of material already done. There's things in here that that were very interesting stories as I went along and done this. So these are random, just basically random. As I went through here, I found very interesting stories I pulled out and put in a folder. This is for primary study and commentary. Rules for Passover, policy for praying and being one of God's leaders. So there's a thing called dumbing down America, which is not in Scripture. America's not in Scripture, but it deals with nations. Job talks, a great man who answer not. I mean, there's a lot of information in here. And I got to put this into a Ark of the Covenant. Saul, God of Israel. God's mark on Aaron's forehead. See these marks? You know, there's several marks there. You got Mark the Beast. You got mark on Cain. You got Aaron's mark. Why don't we need to know that? So, Feast of Harvest, Feast of Unleavened Bread, 3 feasts a year, land Sabbath, equality, or equity, equity. So, as I go, I find these stories, and I put this in there, and I go back and read this. I'm going to put these in the rightful category. Just like I do. You put it in a rightful place. Treason, conspiracy, rent the clothes. There's rules for renting clothes. There's rules for renting clothes. There's rules for angels, too. I talked to my buddy about that, and I said, wonder what their angels came in, the time they came on. Wonder what the times that they came on. And I wonder what the rules are that govern the angel's appearance. It's there. Nobody talks about that. We're going to be getting into that, too. So I'm going to exile that. So this is the last Sabbath for this cycle here, and you can see it's been a 3-day. And you know the funny thing is you find 3 days. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, let's see if I can do this real quick. I will go back to Sabbath. Let's go down here. Let's go to let's see. Let's go to 2 Kings, see if I can find this. Maybe I can in a timely fashion without getting off point. See, it's time, and it came to pass as part of time. Let's see here. I don't know why that's bigger in text. That's 12. Oh, that's 11. I got to fix these too. Here's another example. Look at this. This is all over the place. This is actually in the New Testament too. This is 2 Kings 2:17. And when they urged him till he was ashamed, he said, Sin. Thy sent therefore 50 men. And they sought 3 days, but found him not. Sought 3 days. There is a mathematical formula that's going on here with this 3 days. It's in Scpitures. It's in Genesis too. It's in Genesis. Troy talks about it. And you have to say, God, what? You know, it deals with Sabbath and the feast days and all that stuff. So you have to keep that in mind. So how can that possibly be? That goes in opposition to man's systems. That's right. The Patriots. And here's another thing. I'm going to depart for just a second. The Patriots always talking about being sovereign, immune, and exempt from government, from man's government. You ever notice that? And talking about sovereignty and the laws don't apply, and that's fine. I'm not opposed to that. I don't care. We're above the law, but yet they're so wrapped up in it, into the system. This is how you get your sovereignty. This is one big crucial step towards that direction. Now, it's a broad brush stroke. That's not necessarily true in all application, so don't whip me for it. But this here is how to get your sovereignty and how to get your freedom, or your freedom in time dealing with your contracts, your life, your business. The days you live on this planet are wrapped up in this, or it's predicated on this. Your choice. So what do we got here? Let's see, we got another calendar there. Or it's wrapped up in this. Your sovereignty is predicated on this. Because remember, we're always talking about and it's part of the hypocrisy when but we're not really thinking about it. We haven't been inspired to depart from the system. What is it to be a free man? Well, you're going to have to be governed on a Sabbath and a Passover. You can't be out there all by yourself in space like Mork for Mork, or in space travelers or something, or a meteor just floating through time, just space flying and flying and flying till you hit the earth. You're going to have a system of law that's ultimately supreme. You can't make up your own law. You're not a god, so the state isn't a god. And it takes in Islamic law, canon law, Vatican garbage law. It takes in, and the canon law is not a bad law. Let me strike that. That's when you really look at the substance of canon law. It's ultimately trying to push you in the right direction to do good things, not to be a criminal, pedophile priest, and all those kind of things. So it's not, canon law is not necessarily bad, evil, wicked, terrible. It's a body of law. It's very interesting stuff, but you have to be open-minded to see the comparisons. You have Islamic law. Islamic law is embedded into the American system. That's what it did. That's what they did. The Masons done that. I know they did that. Somebody did it. You can say whatever you want. Somebody put that garbage law in our system of law, and it's incompatible because the shooting of blacks and black codes and the slavery and the flipping the government up in the 14th Amendment and the Reconstruction, or flipping the government up and giving everybody Islamic slavery. That's what they did. Is what happened. That's my opinion. So you're either stuck on this here. This decides everything in your life, or you're stuck here and say, well, how can I pay my bills? Well, you can take any moon cycle other than the Sabbath or feast days and pay a bill. And the people you're talking to, they need a number and a month attached to it. Well, here's the cycle. I'm going to pay here's the cycle. I'm going to pay preparation day. I'm going to pay my bill. So now I can rest on Sabbath because my bill's paid. They said, well, what day is that? Well, you don't know what preparation day is on the Sabbath? What's wrong with you? Are you a fool? It's the 18th of your December. Your 18th. Notice, when you look at this, though, the numbers are divorced. we should do that too. But notice the numbers are divorced from the names. If you looked at my class, you know the names. These names are divorced from the numbers. Watch this. Tuesday's the first. If that's the first day of the month, count 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Shouldn't Monday be the Sabbath? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Shouldn't the 14th, 21, and 28th be the Sabbath? Shouldn't, if we're counting, we're using math, shouldn't this be the Sabbath? It's not, because this name dictates when the Sabbath is. This name. But these numbers, this math, I thought we were counting something. We're not. So I thought we were counting something. This name is, this name up here is your Sabbath. And notice the numbers are divorced. Let's go take a look at one more month. Let's go to January. Friday, the 1st, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Shouldn't Thursday be the Sabbath? Shouldn't your preparation day should be on the 6th, and on the 7th day, should be Sabbath, right? You ever notice that? But no, your last quarter is your Sabbath. Here, now you're probably in harmony with the Sabbath. So your last quarter Sabbath. See, I'm in harmony this time. Okay, well, Friday to Saturday is Sabbath, but the math has nothing to do with Sabbath, does it? You're not counting. These names are fixed. They figured out there's 12 of these things called months. They got it from the Torah. They got it from the ancients of ancients. So they got 12 cycles. They got this time they counted. They said this is Friday to Saturday. This is Sabbath. But the numbers don't have nothing to do. We're not counting anything. Somehow or another, in their reason, logic, and common sense, the Sabbath, the numbers are hidden somewhere, and they go all the way back to Garden of Genesis. But they have to recorrect all this, because this is the only system that is true and correct. In this cycle, these numbers here are not correct. None of this other stuff is correct. This here is all garbage. Why even have it here? Why don't you just have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Why don't you have it this way and get rid of all this other crap? Why do you need numbers? If this is true. Okay. I've harked on that enough. I'm going to go ahead and depart from this. So I'm going through every book of the Bible, and I'm finishing this task. I'm on 1 Chronicles 4:1. I got to get this done. I got to go all the way back up to. I've already done it all the way up to here. I finished all this here, and I'm going to go through this again too because I missed some. And I've got to go all the way through here to get to Matthew. Start over. Now, once I get to Matthew, I'm going to go through it. It should be pretty fast. Matthew's going to be a lot faster than crawling through the Old Testament. So once I get to Matthew, I'll start over, and I'll have a full, all-out drag race run. The whole quarter mile I'll have completed. This here is the 8th mile. And this here is, the whole thing is a full quarter mile drag race. I'll have it all done, hopefully by the end of the year. But this isn't the only thing I'm doing. I'm going to be working on Holy Scriptures law class. And there's things in it that we've never been taught before, and it's going to be expansive, very expansive. But it's going to be simple. It's going to be simple, direct, expansive, and it's something you can obtain. I got to figure out how to present it and how to distribute it according to the Lord's will. It's very important. I don't know the answer to that yet. I got to do it with a clean heart. I don't want no influence of gain for me specifically, only the rewards in heaven that I'm looking for. I don't want no gains from it. But I have to decide if that's the Father's will. I don't know what His will is because I don't know the answer to that question. I've seen what other people have done, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I don't care. But for me, I have a spiritual question. I have a roadblock, a do not go stop sign on that issue. Like right now, it's an hour. We'll have an hour today. We're going to be talking about Sabbath and stuff like that. We're talking about Sabbath and how what I'm doing and why the differences are between the two calendars and what I'm doing to get to the end of this question. That's what I'm after. I'm after to go through. Once I go through all this, I'll be very confident. And then when I get done with this, I'm going to upload this material to the site in a zip folder. It's going to be scanned for virus. It's going to be a clean site, clean folder. I'm going to upload that so you can download that. You can have all 66 of them. It's taken a long time to do it, and I'm going to give that to the people so they can see that. I'll do some videos as to why I did it, what made me do that. I wanted to know. Because I found things that are nobody talks about when it comes to Sabbath, and it's part of Sabbath. And if that bolt don't go in that head, if that bolt don't go in that bolt hole right, and that's not the right head bolt, you can't put that in there because that head's going to leak and it's going to come apart. You got to stretch or break that bolt. Now we got to drill the block out. If we can't drill the block out, we got to pull the motor, take it all apart, send it to the machine shop, and have them rebuilt. I'm not doing that. That's not going to happen. If that head bolt don't go in that hole, we ain't putting it there. That's how that works. If that Sabbath don't fit right into the engine of Sabbath, it ain't going there. It's not going there, and I'm not going to be I'm not putting my stamp seal of approval on it because I found some things with that's disturbing with it. So that's kind of what I've done. So like in this Second Kings, there's 11 pages, and I found majority of this is 11, 12, 13 pages. Kind of weird. And then here's another thing. Look at this cyclical numbers, the numbers in sequence. And I found this over time, and I don't necessarily know what it means, but I found this in relationship to how it moves around. Look at this. The next time I found time, so I'll start with 2 Kings 3:1, just in the King James, just in the English. It's not the Hebrew. I'm not using Strong's Concordance. So, just in 3:1, so I found Samaria, the 18th year of Josaphat, the king of Judah, and reigned 12 years, right? Notice it's very precise. 18th year, 12 years, 12 tribes. Notice. Now, scroll down here and take a look at the jump. Excuse me, before I found any more time. So the king of Israel went, and the king of Judah, and the king of Edom, and they fetched a compass of 7 days' journey. Now they're on 7 days' journey. They're on a journey 7 days. What happened to the Sabbath? You tell me these guys broke the Sabbath? Journey. Now notice the number sequence from 1 to 8. And it's kind of strange because it does this. And not all of it does it, but it's very strange. I found the sequence jumping the numbers is journey, and there was no water for the host and for the cattle that followed them. And then went from 3:9 to 3:20. That's what. So, and it came to pass in the morning. Notice it's very specific. And it came to pass in the morning when the meat offering was offered. Look at this. And the meat offering was offered, that behold, there came a water by way of Edom, and the country was filled with water. Sounds like a miracle, don't it? Take a look at this. And they rose up early in the morning, and the sun shone upon the water, and the Moabites saw the water on their other side as red as blood. Now they walked what? What did they walk? They walked 7 days. On the 8th day, and it came to pass in the morning when the meat offering was offered on the 8th day. So they had 7 days they walked. It said 7 days. And it says, And it came to pass in the morning on the 8th day. Notice there's something missing. That's the legal contest. Oh, God. That's the legal contest. Passed in the morning when the meat offering was offered. Now, they were walking 7 days, but it says, and it came to pass in the morning when the meat offering was offered, that behold, there came water by the way of Edom. However you interpret this, there's a legal contest there, a legal question to be asked and answered. And when you go through Scriptures the way we're doing it, the way I'm doing it, and others that I know are doing it, when we go through Scriptures this way, we see these anomalies, these hidden. Now there's a maximum of law. It's part of the class. What is not stated is omitted as law or fact. Let's say law. Oh God, we got the funny bunnies running around here. What is not stated is omitted as fact. What is not stated is omitted as law or fact. This is very strange. Today we have the game warden and the sheriff riding around looking over here. Very strange. What is not stated is omitted as fact. What's not stated? 2 Kings 3:20. And it came to pass in the morning. Which day was the morning? Which day is the morning? Now, I never planned this out, but this is an example. This is just one of many, many, many examples that I want to describe to you. And it's very important to know and understand that example, because those things are there. You say they fetched and come past 7 days' journey, and there was no water for host and for the cattle that followed them. And it came to pass in the morning when the meat offering was offered. Now they're having a meat offering. Offering of meat offering. Meat offering was offered. That behold, there came water by way of Edom. What day is this? What day is this? They're breaking the Sabbath? Are the Sabbath breakers? Does it say they're Sabbath breakers? Let's go back here again. What day is that? We know the numbers are divorced from the Sabbath, Friday to Saturday. We know the numbers are divorced. So the numbers and the moon and sun don't mean nothing. Zero, zip, zilch. The name of the day means something to somebody. Don't care. We know the Arabian math, or the math, or actually mathematics came from God himself. It didn't come from the Arabs. That argument's silly on its face. We know math is divorced from this. But it's not divorced from this. 7 days. When is 7 days? Here, or according to the Hebrew calendar? What's going on here? 3 days? Why is this important to know? And why haven't we been taught on this? That's what I'm offering. That's all I'm offering you. I'm not trying to tell you to do something you're not willing to do, or change this habit. I don't care. It's not my business. Don't mean anything. I'm not offended. It's not my problem. And it's not your problem, because you believe. I believe. That's all we have, is the Holy Set Apart Spirit giving us the information. That's all we got. Because the institutions of man are so vile and so defective. It's not even funny. But yeah. Shut the door, will you? Hey, Steffi. So, we know the institutions of man, like the Vatican, are defunct. We know that. They got problems. And it's part of the fallen nature of man. You can't do nothing about it. Can't do nothing about that. I'm going to hit that again one more time here. So the king of Israel went, and the king of Judah, and the king of Edom, and they fetched a compass of 7 days' journey, and there was no water for the host and for the cattle that followed them. And it came to pass in the morning, when the meat offering was offered, that, behold, there came water by the way of Edom, and the country was filled with water. 2 Kings 3:22, 3:22. And they rose up early in the morning, and the sun shone upon the water, and the Moabites saw the water on the other side as red as blood. And it came to pass, when the vessels were filled, that she said unto the sun, Bring me yet a vessel. And he said unto her, There is not a vessel more. And the oil stayed. I put this in here because I found this very strange how they put the word pass in here. Yeah, there's mistranslations in the scriptures. I will share that with you too, but that's as far as it's going to go, because we're dealing with time. And it came to pass. 2 Kings 4:8. And it fell on a day that Elisha, passed on Shuram, I don't know how to pronounce the name, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread, and so it was that as oft as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. And it fell on a day. Notice the usage of words, very distinct. Very, very distinct on a day. So, and here's another one, 4:11. And it fell on a day that he came hither, and they turned into the chamber and lay there. Check this out, 4:16. And he said about the seasons. Now we're talking about days, 7 days. Now we're talking about seasons, according to the time of life. Thou shalt embrace a son, and and she said, Nay, my lord, thou man of God, do not lie unto thine handmaid. Now we're talking about polygamy. But notice it says season. Notice it's very distinct. Notice we created a new language called English, from Middle East, Roman, Pig Latin to English, whatever. That's what they call it. I don't know. Season again. These little notice here. There's the word on the it fell on a day. Notice it says that, and then it talks about a season again. Here's 2 Kings 4:2. And when he had taken him and brought him to his mother, he sat on her knees till noon. I said moon. And then he died. 2 Kings 4:23. And he said, Wherefore wilt thou go up to him today? It is neither new moon nor Sabbath. And she said, It shall be well. It is neither new moon or Sabbath. New moon or Sabbath. New moon or Sabbath. What do we learn here? Something's divorced mathematically wise from this. These numbers attached to these names are divorced. These names have nothing to do with counting anything. Do you agree or disagree? Now you can say, yeah, it counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, here we're counting Saturday. Okay. Shabbat, Saturn worship. But the math, the numbers aren't attached. So here in November, take a look at this. 1 through 7, Sabbath. 7, 14, 21, 28. That's fair. That's November. December, number 1 starts here. So The numbers here, I talk about this in why Sabbath is not on Friday and Saturday. So the numbers all line up here, and you can say, yeah, we're counting 7 days, but when you get to here, the numbers don't. There's no math attached to this. He's still Friday to Saturday. Still Friday to Saturday. And we can, as we go on, we can see this. Now here's January. We've seen that. We can see where the quarters fall. And we can see this here, February 2016. Numbers start on Monday, and so Sunday would be the Christian Sabbath. 7, 14, 21, 28. I'm not opposed to Friday to Saturday Sabbath. I'm not. I did it for a long time. I liked it. I wasn't struck dead and died of curses. I'm doing the Sabbath the way I'm doing it. I like it. I'm not struck dead curses. And when I made the transition, finally said it, I was like, wow, this is incredible. This can't be. I mean, now you got the new Israeli New Moon Society. Now you got Genesis Sabbath coming back up in Israel with all of its crimes and apostatism or whatever it is that people want to call Israel. I don't care. It's not my business. But now they're bringing back the Genesis Sabbath. I mean, this is exciting times. This is really exciting times. And I hope that you've learned something by this. I hope this means something to you. And like I said, I'm not here to tell you to jump off one Sabbath or go be not a Christian. I'm not here to do that. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm just pointing out the obvious. It's a factual reality that the differences between the numbers are not attached to these days. Christians, Jews, and Muslims have the same problem. It's obvious. Look here, March, last quarter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look what we got here in the end of March. Now we're gearing up now we're coming up into our Passover time. Well, this is going to be the end of that. We're going to go ahead and get out of here, and I'm going to leave that up because I got to work on that today, and I'm going to close this out. And like I said, I hope that this has been educational, entertaining for you. I hope this has been informative. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the opportunity to present this to you. Like, I'm not here to tell you to do something. I'm just pointing out obvious facts. And I know it's hard. Trust me, I know it's hard. It's just a different world. And being truly a free man, a sovereign, if you will, is not predicated on Gregorian time. Gregorian time system. My class, a lot of ways are predicated on that concept too. It's just not overtly spoken. It's just, just not overtly spoken on it. All right, this is the Craig Kirk School of Law, and I hope you've enjoyed this Sabbath broadcast today. And I'll get the table, or I'll get the title up and describe what I'm doing here. And I appreciate your tuning in. If you tune in, I appreciate you if you listen. And pass it around, tell other people, just kind of make conversation about it. And do me a favor, whatever you do, don't point your finger, please. We, as human beings, men and women, please do not be callous or don't be condescending to people. Just be humble, meek, wise. Okay, see, I'm going to finish on with this here. King James Bible, Deuteronomy 8. Remember, the Lord your God, all the commandments which I have commanded you this day shall ye observe to do. All. Now, you know, all means all. I'm going to be expansive. All means all 66 books. That you may live and multiply and go and possess the land which the Lord swore unto your fathers. That's every tribe, every person, so-called Gentile or Jew. I don't think there's no such thing as Gentiles. I think they're all part of the Father, and that's just the way it is. But we want to put people in categories and call them Gentiles and use English words to describe that. I'm not necessarily know that's true, and it's true because you have even Gentiles or pagans practice some of the law of God. They may be a human sacrificer last month, but this month I don't want to do that. That violates my conscience. Where did they get that from? I mean, when you really start looking at it, you have to ask this question. 2. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God lead thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee, and prove thee. Now, why would they be unhumbled in Egypt? They were so arrogant, so righteous, so self-condescending, so hypocrisive, so vile within their own beings. They had to be humbled. You were in slavery 400 years, now you got to be humbled. Something's wrong there. To prove thee, to know what was in thy heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. Now I know they practiced other gods and made the golden calf. I understand that. But think about it. 400 years in Egypt and you're not humble. You assimilated into your status as the Islamic dhimmi, served slave as a kafar, into Egypt. You assimilated your status as a slave, and you were proud and boastful about being the slave you are. Americans do that to this day about corporations. They should tell every corporation to go to hell. And 3, and he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knowest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doeth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out the mouth of the Lord doeth man live. 4. Thy remnant waxed not upon thee, neither did thy feet swell these 40 years, getting close to death. Thou shalt also consider thy heart, that as a man chasteth his son, so the Lord thy God chasteth thee. 6. Therefore thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to fear him. For the Lord thy God bringeth thee into the land, a land of brooks and waters and fountains and depths and springs, out of the valley and the hills. 8. A land that wheat and barley, and vines and fig trees, pomegranates, land of oil and honey. 9. Land wherein thou shalt eat bread without scarceness. Thou shalt not lack anything in it. A land whose stones are iron, and out of the whose hills thou mayest dig brass. 10. I need to enter that. When thou hast eaten and art full, then thou hast blessed the Lord thy God for the good land which he giveth thee. Matt 4. But he answered and said unto him, Is it written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word proceedeth out the mouth of God. So we have that restatement of law 2 times. This is the New Testament. Alright, this is the Craig Kirk School of Law. I'm Craig Kirk. I hope that this has helped you, educated you a little bit, or gave you some information to think about. And we're going to go ahead and do a close on this, and I'm pretty much done with that. So we're going to close out this video, and I appreciate you tuning in and listening. So with that being said, we're pretty much done, and I will catch you. I got to do the schedule for the other broadcasts throughout the week, so I got to work on that. So we will see you then. Thanks.